After James had already left for work, Jocelyn thought that she had won James's heart again. She knew that her in-laws were still angry at her for treating their son poorly. She used not to care about them because she thought she had the upper hand. Now that the tables had turned, she wanted to put her in-laws by her side. She also wanted to go there and make sure that James had not said anything about her and her family's wrongdoing against him. She knew that her in-laws knew about her cheating and how she used to disrespect James. But she didn't know if James had told them how they sabotaged the biggest company project to make James fail, so that they could act like heroes. Her mind raced with thoughts on how she would behave at her in-laws. What she didn't know is that James had told them everything, and now they hated her. Nicole was so angry with her that she didn't even want to see her. They had agreed to act as if they had forgiven Jocelyn, but Nicole couldn't help seeing her before her with what she had done. Jocelyn's mind raced as she prepared herself for the upcoming meeting with her in-laws. She knew she needed to tread carefully, especially now that James had seemingly agreed to go on a trip with her. She needed to maintain the facade of reconciliation with James while ensuring that his parents remained by her side. Jocelyn arrived at her in-laws' house, her demeanor carefully composed as she knocked on the door. Despite her efforts to appear confident, her heart raced with anxiety, unsure of the reception she would receive from Corner and Nicole. Hearing someone approaching the door, Jocelyn plastered a warm smile on her face, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The door creaked open, revealing Nicole standing on the other side. Her expression was icy, and her eyes were filled with a mixture of disappointment and disdain. Jocelyn's stomach churned as she met Nicole's gaze, realizing that her attempts at reconciliation might not be as easy as she had hoped. "Jocelyn," Nicole said coolly, stepping aside to allow her entry. "Come in." As she entered, Nicole looked at her with a hateful gaze, her expression remaining guarded despite her attempts to appear welcoming. Jocelyn stepped into the familiar surroundings of the house, her nerves on edge as she braced herself for the inevitable confrontation. She knew she had wronged James and his family grievously, and now she had to face the consequences of her actions. "Jocelyn, it's good to see you," Nicole said, her voice lacking its usual warmth. "Thank you, Nicole. It's good to see you too," Jocelyn replied, masking her nervousness with practiced ease. Corner appeared in the hallway, his gaze stern as he regarded his daughter-in-law. "Jocelyn," he acknowledged with a nod. "Dad," Jocelyn replied, her tone respectful as she returned his nod. "I understand that you're angry with me," Jocelyn began, her voice trembling slightly despite her efforts to maintain composure. "And I know I've made mistakes, but I want to make things right. I want to apologize for everything I've done and try to rebuild the trust I've lost." Nicole's expression remained cold at Jocelyn's words, and her eyes still held a hint of skepticism. "Apologies won't erase what you've done, Jocelyn," she said quietly. "You've hurt our son deeply, and you've deceived us all. I have loved you and treated you like my only daughter. But I was surprised at how you've totally changed right after your marriage to James. You constantly cheated on him, disrespected him and all of us. And the worst of it was the fact that you were the one behind the company's bankruptcy so that you could control us. Do you think we don't know? And you have the audacity to come here with your empty apologies seeking forgiveness? Are you even sorry? Or is it because you've been caught?" "I know actions speak louder than words," Jocelyn replied earnestly, "and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make amends. I want to show you that I'm sincere in my desire to change, and that I'm committed to being a better wife to James." At that moment, Winnie entered to find her parents and her once favorite sister-in-law. "Dad, Mom, what is she doing here?" Winnie only knew about Jocelyn's mistreatment of her brother, but had no idea that she was the one who made her brother go bankrupt 5 years ago. Her parents gave her the silent treatment and continued their conversation. She stood there, eager to know what brought Jocelyn back. Corner patted his wife on the shoulder to remind her of what they had discussed with James. They had to act as if they had forgiven Jocelyn, but they had not. Nicole sniffed and then took a seat. Corner looked at Jocelyn and said, "Now tell us why you did what you did. We're all ears." Jocelyn took a deep breath, steeling herself for the difficult conversation ahead, and choosing her words wisely to navigate the precarious situation she found herself in. "I've indeed made terrible mistakes, and I can't excuse my actions," Jocelyn began, her voice tinged with regret. "When I got engaged to James, I thought I was doing what was best for both of us. I loved James with all my heart, but after I went abroad for only 1 year, he totally changed. I found out that he was dating another woman named Olga Thompson. She was his employee, not even a contracted employee. She was an intern. I was disappointed and angry that he was choosing another woman over me. I was under immense pressure from my family to secure our future, and I let that cloud my judgment. Then my dad asked me a favor to go into James's confidential information because he trusted me. Then she shaped the plan that was already made. After we got married, I wanted to show him who was in control, but I lost my way and made it worse. Even though we were married, James seemed distant. That's how I started cheating and making him respect me and do whatever I said because he believed I and my family saved his company, which was all a lie. But that doesn't justify what I did to James or you all. That's why I am sorry." She paused, meeting Nicole and Corner's gazes with sincerity in her eyes. "I was selfish and blinded by my own ambitions. I wanted power and control, and I was willing to do whatever it took to achieve that. I didn't want to lose James, but I again wanted him to feel the betrayal like I did when he was dating another woman. But I see now how much I've hurt James and all of you, and I'm truly sorry for the pain I've caused." Nicole and Corner listened to Jocelyn's explanation with a mixture of disbelief and disgust. The depth of her deception and manipulation left them speechless, struggling to reconcile the woman standing before them with the daughter-in-law they once welcomed into their family with open arms. "I can't believe you would do something so despicable," Nicole finally said, her voice laced with anger. "You not only betrayed James, but our entire family. We trusted you, Jocelyn. We treated you like our own daughter." Corner's voice was tense as he struggled to contain his rage. "Not only did you sabotage James's company, but you also cheated on him and disrespected him at every turn. And all for what? Power and control? Is that all you care about?" Jocelyn hung her head, her eyes filled with remorse. "I know I can't undo the past, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make amends. I love James, and I want to prove to him and all of you that I'm capable of change. I want to earn back your trust, even if it takes a lifetime." Nicole thought she heard something new. "Wait a bit, Jocelyn. What did you say? James had another girl? I'm not sure because he never told us." Winnie, fueled by her hatred for Jocelyn, murmured, "It would have been better if he had married that beautiful girl." She then stood up and left the living room. As Winnie stormed out of the room, the tension in the air seemed to thicken. Nicole and Corner exchanged a glance, silently acknowledging the new information that had been brought to light. Despite their anger toward Jocelyn, they couldn't deny the significance of what they had just learned about James's past. "Jocelyn," Corner began, his voice grave, "what you've told us about James and this woman, Olga. Are you certain?" Jocelyn nodded, her expression somber. "Yes, I found out about it while I was abroad. It was a difficult truth to accept, but I knew I had to confront it. That's when everything changed between James and me, and I started acting foolishly." Nicole sighed heavily, processing this new revelation. "So, James wasn't entirely blameless in this situation," she muttered, more to herself than anyone else. Corner's brows furrowed in thought. "Regardless of James's past actions, what you did, Jocelyn, was still unforgivable. You orchestrated the downfall of his company, manipulated him into marriage, and treated him with utter disrespect. There's no excuse for that. Jocelyn nodded, her eyes filled with remorse. I understand, and I accept full responsibility for my actions. I know I can't undo the damage I've caused, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make things right. I love James, and I want to prove that I'm capable of change. Connor and Nicole exchanged a weary glance, the weight of the situation pressing heavily upon them. While they were beginning to grasp the complexity of the situation, the hurt and betrayal they felt still lingered. Jocelyn, Nicole said finally, her voice softening slightly. We need time to process everything that's been said today. But know this, rebuilding trust will not be easy, and it will take more than just words to earn back our respect. Connor nodded in agreement. Indeed, we'll need to see tangible evidence of your sincerity and commitment to change. Until then, it would be best for all of us to maintain a respectful distance. Jocelyn swallowed hard, the reality of the situation sinking in. She knew that rebuilding trust would be a long and arduous journey, but she was determined to prove herself worthy of forgiveness. I understand, she replied, her voice tinged with resignation. I'll do whatever it takes to make amends and regain your trust. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to apologize. After Jocelyn left the building, Nicole rushed to her daughter's room. She wanted to ask her about what Jocelyn had said, and Winnie seemed to know about it. It was a beautiful day. Olga woke up with great feelings. Her life seemed to be going well. Nick had told her to go to the airport to pick up Frank. They had to act as lovers so that James could believe that Kaya was not his. It's not that she didn't want James to know he had a daughter, but him knowing that might cause problems for her and her baby. Maggie woke up to find Olga in the kitchen, making breakfast. Good morning, girl. I told you to let me take care of you. Why wake up this early? Maggie's voice broke Olga's thoughts, pulling her back to reality. She smiled warmly at her friend. Good morning, Maggie. I couldn't sleep, so I figured I'd make us some breakfast. You know you're paying for everything here. We're living in your house for free. I should at least take care of the household. Maggie chuckled, appreciating Olga's gesture. You're too kind, Olga, just like the old days. But you don't have to worry about that. We're sisters, not friends anymore. Besides, I wouldn't be where I am if it weren't for you by my side. And don't make me repeat this. We're in this together. Remember, no matter what happens, we will always be one. Maggie arched an eyebrow, studying Olga intently. Is everything all right? You seem a bit preoccupied. Olga sighed softly. Remember yesterday Nick told us about Frank's arrival? He will be arriving in 2 hours. Considering the fact that we will be acting lovers and he will be acting as Kaya's father, I need to be the one going to pick him up, not Nick. And remember, we had promised Grandma that we would spend this weekend together with her. Considering the fact that I would tell her the whole truth about Kaya, I don't know why it's all overlapping. I don't know how to handle it. You know you have cleared your schedule for this weekend to go with us to Grandma's. Help me tell her the truth. Everything has to be done today. Maggie listened attentively, understanding the weight of the situation. She reached out and gently squeezed Olga's hand, offering her support. I understand, Olga. It's a lot to handle, but we'll figure it out together. Let's stick to the plan. You go pick up Frank, and I'll take care of things here. We'll still make it to Grandma's and have that conversation with her. We owe her the truth. Olga nodded, feeling grateful for Maggie's reassurance. Thank you, Maggie. Let me wake Kaya up. I need to remind her to treat Frank as her father and not to disclose it to anyone. She is young, but she will handle it. And I think we should all go together. Then, in the evening, we will head to Grandma's house. With a plan in motion, Olga felt a bit more at ease. She went to wake Kaya, who was still sleeping peacefully in her room, gently shaking her awake. Olga whispered, Kaya, sweetheart, it's time to wake up. Kaya rubbed her eyes sleepily before focusing on her mother. Morning, Mommy. Is it time for breakfast? Olga smiled softly, brushing stray hair away from Kaya's face. Not yet, darling. We have a special task today. Remember how we talked about Uncle Frank yesterday? Kaya's eyes widened in excitement. Is Uncle Frank coming today? Yay! Can we play games with him? Olga chuckled, feeling a twinge of guilt for what she was about to ask of her daughter. Yes, Uncle Frank is coming. But remember, we have to pretend something important today. Kaya tilted her head, curious. What do we have to pretend, Mommy? Olga took a deep breath, trying to find the right words. We have to pretend that Uncle Frank is your daddy, okay? It's like a game, but we have to be very serious about it. Kaya's brows furrowed in confusion, but she nodded obediently. Okay, Mommy. I can do that. But why? Olga hesitated, not wanting to burden her daughter with the complexities of the situation. Remember everything I told you about your real daddy? That he wants to take me away from you? Olga looked her daughter in the eyes, trying to make her understand. Yes, baby. Uncle Frank will help us out, so we won't have to separate. Kaya nodded again, accepting her mother's explanation without further question. I understand, Mommy. I'll be a good girl. Olga leaned down and kissed Kaya's forehead, feeling a pang of guilt for involving her daughter in this charade. But she knew it was necessary to protect their family, no matter the cost. Thank you, sweetheart. Now let's get you ready. Uncle Frank will be here soon.